as the game goes, we've also taken some sharp Knights money and some sharp over money tonight. Although there is some public interest on the Sharks, which I find a little bit interesting. The Sharks offensively, outstanding. We're not 100% sure if Timo Meyer's healthy. We're not 100% sure if Erik Karlsson's healthy. That's going to play into it a little bit. Dave and I, we've discussed seemingly every week about Martin Jones and the Knights being in Martin Jones' head. And, yeah, he took them to the Cup in 2016, but this is 2019.
Yeah.
And the thing that worries me about them is both teams kind of went in the tank a little bit down the stretch, but the Knights didn't have anything really to play for. They were going to be the third-place team in the division for about 2 months. The Sharks tied the Flames in the division when the Flames struggled out of the break, and then they were playing meaningful games and lost 7 in a row. They lost to the Panthers. They had a couple of bad losses in there. I don't know if this team has the grit and the guts to win a series, to be honest.
How about some recommended viewing locations for tonight's big game between the Golden Knights and Sharks for those who want to root with a crowd of Golden Knights fans?
Well, if you want to go root for the crowd of Golden Knights fans, you're probably not going to want to go to any of the Caesars locations. I've seen tons of Sharks jerseys
Really?
rolling around. Yeah, I mean, people, we house the road fans at all of our properties, and that's where I feel all the Sharks public money's coming. And it's going to be an interesting one tonight, and it sure should be entertaining.
Yeah, and that's funny because you do get a lot more tourists, and I know some of the local houses tonight, you'll be hard-pressed to find anybody with a San Jose Sharks ticket, let alone a jersey.
Yeah. Do you really want to wear a Sharks jersy to a local casino tonight?
No,
Probably
not really. No, not unless you want to get in a fight. And this.
So I really have never seen that in Vegas.
No.
That's like a
No,
Boston
we're very
thing.
accommodating to
Yeah, we've never, the other fans, you might razz them a little bit,
yes.
but I've never seen the like Dodgers Giants or Yankees Red Sox type of hatred.
No, I do think there's going to be some of it with the Aviators and some of the road teams that come in, okay? We'll have to wait and see. I can't wait to get up to the ballpark. All right, the Masters is here. And we're talking with Jeff Davis, Director of Trading at Caesars Entertainment, and he is a golf guru. And this is as good as it gets. I mean, we're kicking off the majors with the battle for the green jacket. Rory McIlroy's the favorite, but I'm looking at the Caesars app right now, and you got a dozen players in that 25-1 or a little better range. So this is a wide-open betting event.
This is, to me, the single greatest betting event in golf of the year, because you look at the other 4 majors, they play on a different course every year, so there's always the little changes with, how certain setups are, but everyone knows Augusta, everyone knows the holes, and the futures are up all year long, and you get plenty of great opportunities, maybe to pick off a price here or there that, will be a better price in April than it is then. And to me, this is the best week of the year for betting. Opening the hockey playoffs, Masters, it's great stuff.
So we talked about McIlroy as being the favorite, but 11 years since he won his last Masters, or since he won his last major, I should say.
Is it 11 years?
2008.
It's amazing.
For Tiger Woods.
For Tiger? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking
I misunderstood.
about.
I thought McIlroy's 11 years.
Yeah, I'm talking about Tiger's the guy who everyone's still talking about. Tiger's the guy who made the headlines today because someone bet $85,000 on him. What's going on with Tiger?
In typical fashion, he's in the top 3 in ticket count and money for us. He is one of the biggest bet against in all of the matchups. And I think it's twofold. One, it's not the same course as when he was winning. It's a lot longer. And he's not as good off the tee as he once was. He's a great approach player, but, he finished, 32nd or 34th last year. And while he has a lot of back pedigree, and I'm not saying he's not going to play good, he's matched up against all of the top names. So I'm not sure right now he's as good as Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, etc. And I feel like that's probably a bigger reason why the big fade on Tiger Woods in the matchup.
So there's so many betting options here. Obviously, you can bet to win. but there's lots of individual matchups. You get a lot of index props as well. Best player from South America or whatever. So there's just tons of stuff to get involved in. Plus, you update after every round. So this is a weekend-long betting event.
It's absolutely great. We'll put up a new board after every night with a new odds to win the tournament. We'll have daily matchups as well. The action doesn't stop. And generally speaking, this is a tournament that, going into Saturday, there's a lot of guys still live. And I was looking at the weather forecast, and what's interesting is there's supposed to be a spike in wind in the middle of the day on Sunday. So there's a chance, if there's a lot of guys packed in, somebody that might go out for 2-3 hours before the leaders can post a number, it's supposed to get a lot more difficult during the afternoon. So maybe there's a betting opportunity on Saturday night if you like someone a little bit further down the board.
Well, let's talk about some of the guys that we might like. And in terms of value, the guy I went after was Hideki Matsuyama, who, as of this morning, was still plus 4,000, 40-1 at Caesars. I don't know if that has changed at all. I like Justin Thomas. I like Fowler. I like Rahm as well, but I wanted to just limit it to 3 or 4. But at 40-1, he's improved every year on this course. I think Matsuyama is going to be in the hunt. Give me a guy in the hunt at 40-1, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I grabbed some 50-1 on Matsuyama about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he's actually down to 25-1 at our place. We took a bet at 40, and we just kind of decided we want to win something of this guy. So we put we really bumped a few of the other guys up. But this guy plays the irons as well as any. He's second on tour, I believe, in strokes gained approach. He's 4 straight top 20s at the Masters, including a 5th and a 7th. He's in pretty good form. I believe he has 3 top 10s in his last 7 worldwide starts. He checks all the boxes for me, and he's a guy that probably was a little bit further down the odds board than he should, and is a far better bet than some of the guys in the 20 to 30 range, if you ask me.
Now, we know somebody who's less than 20-1, but and he has to be because he's enormously popular with the betting public, is Ricky Fowler. And here's the thing on Fowler. I mean, if it weren't for a great last round by another player last year, Fowler probably gets the green jacket. He did finally close a good Sunday on a Sunday, which has been a problem for him recently. I mean, I can see the support for Fowler to finally break through here.
Likewise, he's got the most tickets and I believe the second most money bet, and that's always the case. He's the most popular guy at the window. And for me, I absolutely think he's live. He's ultra talented. He needs to find that extra gear on Sunday where he has to grit and grind out a win. He's just too short for me to ever bet. He's priced like a guy that wins twice a year, and he just doesn't. So for me, I'm happy to fade him, but absolutely would not be surprised whatsoever to see him wearing the green jacket on Sunday.
Is there anybody else who you want mentioned as someone who's attracting some sharp action, someone who you've noticed the bettors seem to be very interested in coming into this weekend?
In the futures market, we took a pretty good-sized bet from a guy we really respect on Dustin Johnson at 11-1. We're now at 9-1. And here's a guy that hasn't had great Augusta form compared to some of his other tournaments, but if Dustin Johnson brings his A-game, there's no one in the world that can beat him. So if he brings that A-game, he's going to win. That being said, he's never done that here, and this course is such a course history place. You know, I'm okay with needing to beat Dustin Johnson, but again, if he shows up with the A-game, then he's going to win. Another guy that is kind of sneaky good, and if you got in on the 50-1 about 2 months ago, you'd be sitting really nice, is Paul Casey. He's down to 30-1 everywhere, but 3 straight top 10s at the Masters, and I was looking through a bunch of guys who were looking at a stat, rounds in the 60s in their career at the Masters, which if you're going to win, you're going to have to shoot the 60s a few times. Of anyone that started more than twice at the Masters, he's the highest percentage of rounds in the 60s at almost 40%. I believe he's played 42 rounds, and he's got 15 or 16 rounds in the 60s. So that sticks out to me. He was never a guy that was really a winner, always come in second, third, blew a big lead to Bubba in Hartford. last year, but he's come back. He's repeated it at the Valspar, and he just looks a different guy now. I've played on him in a couple of matchups. He's surely up there. Expect him to be around on Sunday. He's a guy I find that could really figure at a decent price.
Jeff, taking the prices out of it for a moment and just looking at it from a straight-up perspective with everybody at the same price, who's your favorite to win this event? Is it Rory?
No, he's incredible, but he's got some scar tissue at Augusta, and while he's putted better, he just doesn't strike me as that guy that has, I don't know what it takes or whatever you call it. I know he's won a few majors, but, he kind of lost his head a little bit when Tiger beat him in the match play a few weeks ago. I would put Justin Rose at the top of my list.
Okay.
The guy he's so even-keeled. He never lets anything bother him. When he makes a bogey, he doesn't turn it into 3 or 4 bogeys. He's a real good grinder. If he doesn't have it one day, he's going to turn that 77 into a 73, which keeps him live. He's finished second here twice. Of all the players in the field, I would say he's the most likely to win.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job breaking down the Masters. I think we've done a pretty thorough job of breaking down the first round of the NHL playoffs. We cannot let you go without talking about Mike Trout and the LA Angels. How much of an adjustment are you seeing in the markets for Trout's absence? And do you think it's warranted? Do you think it's merited? Have you ever seen a position player in MLB worth as much as Mike Trout is worth to the LA Angels?
Off the top of my head, I'd say no, because, Dave, we talked about this last week with maybe this Angels team isn't good and with Justin Upton out. But now you take Mike Trout out of the lineup. I'm going to say he's about a 13 to 15 cent adjustment in what the game number will be, because he's just so far over his replacement, and he does everything. He's such an incredible defensive center fielder as well. I mean, he's the best player in my lifetime, and I'd be hard-pressed to say anyone else would be. So, yeah, I mean, I would say 13 to 15 cents is a fair estimate to what he's worth to a daily game money line.
And with the market, it's worth even more than that, because we've seen this line go from like 110
40 cents is
to
being
150.
priced. Yeah.
And that's all on, to me, that's all on Trout.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a bit of an overreaction. No one player can mean a team is going to win an additional, 60% of the time from what the number was. 40 cents is way too big of a move, if you ask me. I think it's closer to 15, but we might watch a few games if he misses and watch the Angels score 6 runs in 3 nights, and I might change my tune.
How about some entertainment ideas for the weekend at one of the Caesars properties?
No, we talked about James Taylor last week, Red Sox fan. Comes in next week, series of 12 shows, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. He's a must-see. If you're into some classic music, definitely go see him at the Coliseum.
And while you're at any of the Caesars properties, make sure and stop by the Racing Sportsbook and pick up your app. You get signed up for the account. The app you can download. You don't even have to have an account to download the app and see what all the numbers are. You can check it right now. It takes you 2 minutes. You download the app. You can punch up anything you want. And when you see those prices that in some cases are the best around, because, it's not on everything, obviously, but there are some situations where the Caesars app is simply offering the best price on something. You want to have an account going.
Absolutely. And the one that sticks out is the futures market. Caesars strives to offer the best future market out there. So while we're not going to have the best price on everybody, if you look down the board and you got a guy in the Masters that you want to bet, take Justin Thomas, for example. We're at 18 to 1. I would venture to guess off the top of my head, you'd have a hard time finding a better price around town than that. And that goes for all the players. If you got the app, you don't have to get in the car and drive. Just open the app, hit a couple of buttons, and you got action.
It's even good for somebody who's on paternity leave.
Oh, it's fantastic. Today is day 2 of 28. You best believe I'll be watching a lot of hockey and golf over the next few days.
Teddy and myself were trying to come up with a line as to the diaper changing prop, and we are making the wife. We're putting her at like she's doing 70% is the line we're saying, and you're doing 30. How close is that?
Well, it has been close.